Welcome to Blackbriar Gaming. Today we're going to talk about those units we've seen revealed from Games Workshop and those units we are still waiting on. What should we be expecting? There's so much out there, and funnily enough, it's not all captured by the recent Imperialis Everything You Need to Know article. Classic GW. I'm keen to discuss what I think we will still get for this game, including other factions, when we'll get it, how they'll release it, and why. Enjoy. Just a quick note before we get into it, a subscribe and a like really helps us reach a bigger audience. So if you enjoyed the video, please hit those buttons down below. So, everything we've got so far. We've got a bunch of Legion, we've got a bunch of Solar, and we know there's an expansion book on its way. So let's have a look at what we've got. Now, starting with the core box, of course, there's a bunch of different units in there. We got a bunch of troop options for Legion, same for Legion's Imperialis. We get a bunch of tanks, we get Leman Russ, we get Predators, we get Sakarans, we get some Warhounds. I won't really be talking about the Knights and Titans today, but that's fine. Now, in the troops, we get the tactical support squads, only with plasma guns by the looks of it. I don't think they come with different weapon options. We get some assault squads, same heavy support squads, I think just with the missile launchers. We then get some Terminators in Cataphracti Terminator armor. We get a Legion Praetor, I imagine, with command squad. If you go over to the Solar, I don't know the names for all of these. They have such odd names. We get a bunch of troops, some guys with axes, some guys with special weapons. You get the Delegatus, maybe? Their HQ unit? I don't know. They get their Ogrins, and they get some really cool new Sentinels. The Malkador tanks, I think we've got there, and a couple of different types of Leman Russes. So a bunch of, and of course Contemptor Dreadnoughts. So what's that, like a dozen different units, if not more, within the core box? So we're already getting a lot. And I think when this game drops, we will just see the core box, at least for a little while. We then know that other units are going to come very fast and thick. You know what? I take that back. When this drops, we will see the core box, and I think some other boxes with it. What I don't think we'll see is the expansion. I think every unit that's in the rulebook, in the core box, we will see that unit become available for sale at the same time, if not 1 or 2 weeks later, as the core box. Now, when it comes to the Great Slaughter, that is, we've been told the name of the first expansion that we'll get, and all the units that are coming in that, they will come later. Now, we don't know how much later. In fact, we don't even know when the core box is coming out, but I imagine it won't be too long. They probably were planning for about 4 to 6 months later originally. I now think it'll be 1 to 2 months later that we get the Great Slaughter. And then, of course, the units that come in that will start to drop, because we know that they're splitting very basic units for the Legions, at least, between the rulebook and the Great Slaughter. And of course, there's more Solar units that aren't in the core rulebook as well. So maybe they're coming out in the Great Slaughter, or maybe they're coming out in a future expansion. So all the stuff we're getting. Let's see. So all the units in that core box, of course. On top of that, for the Legions, we're getting Rhinos, we're getting drop pods, we're getting Dreadnought drop pods, we're getting the Tarantulas? I'm pretty sure. We're getting Rapiers. We're getting, let's see here, we're getting Spartans, we're getting Proteus. Interestingly, I don't think the link for the Proteus Land Raider was in that article that I was talking about, the collected article with all the links. They just skipped that one. Same for the Rhino. Just missed it out. That's fine. We're getting the Kratos. What else? Derrideos. We're getting Leviathans. We're getting, and then we get into the expansions. I've already talked about that a little. Drop pods. We're getting is it the Sparta Combat Attack Bites? Sparta? I think they're Sparta. We're getting the Jet Bikes, the Sky Hunters. We're getting Land Raiders, the Javelin. We're getting your basic Land Raiders, which I can never remember the name of. Is it? Hang on. I've got the rulebook here right next to me. I'm going to say it. The Proteus Land Speeders. There you go. Cool. Same idea as the Proteus Land Raiders, I guess. Yeah, that's a thing. Maybe I'm making it up. Who can say? So that is all of the Legion units, I believe, that we'll see. I don't think I missed anything. I think that's all of them. Now, for the Solar, you've got everything that comes in the core box. On top of that, we've seen some super heavies. So you've got the Baneblade, you've got the Stormhammer. What else? Let's see. You've got Leman Russ, obviously. We talked about that. You've got Malkadors. You've got tarantula batteries for them. You've got those little Cyclops demolition vehicles. They're super cute. You've got solar rapiers as well. And then their artillery, the basilisks, and I think the Medusas there. So much dropping for Solar as well. It's a much more complete release for Solar, just because there's less units for Solar, essentially. But by the looks of it, Legions and Solar, they're getting about the same amount of units dropped for them. Interestingly, more Lords of War for the Solar are dropping, and I guess because their troops are a little weaker, it makes sense, than we're seeing yet available for the Legions, but we'll talk about that soon as well. So that's everything we can expect from, I guess, a unit side, from a model side. On top of that, you've also got all the Titans and Knights. You've got the Flyers. So for Solar, that'll be, the Arvis Lighter. I think the Lightning. There's another one that I can't remember. For Legion, that'll be the Fire Raptors, the Storm Eagles, the Xiphons, the Thunderhawk. So many units to play around with right from the start. On top of that, we've then got the terrain. So for the terrain, we'll have those tiles that we saw. They're pretty cool. I imagine only 12 by 12. Maybe they're 2 foot by 2 foot. That would make a lot more sense. I'm not sure. We'll wait and see. But they're super pretty. No, maybe they are only 12 by 12. The roads would be way too big if they were 2 foot by 2 foot. So they're super cool. So we've got those tiles. That we've then got the old school terrain that we've had previously. They're re-releasing all of that. Thank goodness. Is it the Civitas Imperialis or something along those lines? They're such a nice looking kit. And the industrial version of that, Industrialis, no doubt, something or another is. And once again, beautiful kits, these terrain kits. They're so nice. It's so expensive, but so nice. And then on top of that, what I'm pretty sure it's new, is the destroyed buildings kit. So the ruins kit, essentially, which looks absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to get all amongst that. There's even a little ruined container in the kit that comes as kind of scatter terrain. Lots of scatter terrain, actually. Fantastic. What a great kit. Can't wait to see it. I think rather than just place that scatter terrain down on a neoprene mat, I think it'll look better if you collect them a little and get a bit creative with some MDF underneath. Either way, we're going to see some amazing stuff. Terrain. And those tiny ladders. Those tiny little ladders. So cute. But there is more coming. So that's everything we assume. Right? So that's everything we've got so far. That is all the reveals we've got. It's a lot. A lot to get your head around. A lot to put together and paint once we get it. But hopefully, there will be more coming. Now, the Great Slaughter, we know, we can assume, we assume, not even. I'm going to guess that the Great Slaughter is referring to the Isfahan Massacre, and that would be really nice. Now, we don't know that in any sense. It could be, there's so many slaughters that could be considered great in the Horus Heresy, but I'd love it to be Isfahan. That'd really take us back to, the opening moments of the Heresy, arguably opening moments of the Heresy with the Space Wolves trashing on the Thousand Suns, but if not others. Debatable. It's a debatable topic, people, but Isfahan is it's pure heresy. It's iconic. It opened, of course, the Black Books when Forge World released them so long ago. It all started with Isfahan. So I'd love to see the Isfahan Massacre, both 5 and 3 really get a look in the opening moments of this game, with the first expansion being the Great Slaughter. So what else should we expect in that book? So we've been told that drop pods, land speeders, and bikes are going to be part of that book, but will there be any more units? I have to assume there will be. So what other units could be part of that expansion? Well, let's first look at all the units we don't have at the moment. So if we look at Legion units we don't have, I'm going to go through by type. So if we look at the headquarters units, we don't really have any consoles or anything like that yet, and we also don't have command rhinos. Saying that, the Rhino kit may create command rhino variants, and certainly if it says that in the article that has the rhinos in it, I don't have it open, please let me know in the comments, but that would make sense to me, as opposed to releasing a whole other kit for command rhinos, which seems gratuitous. When it comes to elites, we don't really have any veterans yet. I don't know if the original game had veterans as a separate unit. Arguably, they probably don't need to be. You could give them a bunch of weapons options, I get, but at this kind of scale, veterans might not be a thing. Tartarus Terminators, however, we don't have, and we'll have to get these guys. So they are on the top of my list for things that I think will be coming in the Great Slaughter book. So Tartarus, put them on there. Next, Destroyers. I also think, if it is, Isfahan Massacre related, just classic heresy, Destroyers. We will see whether the jump back version or the non-jump back version, maybe both, maybe the same kit can make both. That would be nice. I think we'll see some Destroyers rules coming in the Great Slaughter book. Then Tech Marines. Tech Marines and Apothecaries, obviously in Heresy, are their own unit, and you attach them to squads. In Imperialis, we've seen there's a tiny little Apothecary on that kind of Praetor base with the command squad, which is cool, but what there's not is a Tech Marine. There's no Tech Marine on that base, as you would see in a traditional 40k kind of Space Marine old school command squad. So it'll be interesting to see if Tech Marines are brought into this game in any way. Maybe they'll be upgrades for tanks, and they'll sit out the top. We've seen that in different models before. That's kind of a thing 40k does every now and again. So maybe that's how they'll come. Maybe we'll see a little Tech Marine. I'd love to see a base with a couple of Tech Marines on it, maybe some cyborgs, maybe some heavy equipment they're using to repair vehicles. That'd be super sick. I'd be super into that. Now, moving on, I don't think we'll see them in the Great Slaughter book, though, and in fact, I don't think we'll see them at all. They're on my wish list, but we'll wait and see. Now, moving into troops, we haven't got despoilers, we haven't got the other weapons for tactical support squads. I'm pretty sure in the box, much like the heavy support squads, we're only seeing missile launchers and plasma guns in that core box. I'd be very surprised if there's not a tactical support squad box at some stage that includes, probably tactical support squads and heavy support squads in the one box maybe, and with a bunch of different weapon options. Do I think that will get released? Definitely. I don't think we'll need more rules for them, because I'm pretty sure in the core rulebook it will have the options for the different weapons. If that's been said, let me know. If I'm wrong, let me know. But I don't think they'll get separate rules, because I don't think they will need them. It's more, I think we will see them as a release pretty soon, after all these things start dropping, a few months maybe after the initial release window. Breaches. Now, I don't think we will have rules for breaches in the core rulebook, so they're another top pick for me for being in the Great Slaughter book. I don't think we'll see despoilers, which I mentioned before. Same recon squads, scout squads. They're not very Great Slaughter-ish if we are talking about the Isfahan Massacre, so I don't think we'll see them either. But breaches, I'd love to see some rules and some miniatures for breaches in the Great Slaughter. I don't think... Yeah, look, we'll wait and see how they'll release breaches. I don't think they'll be in a box by their own, so what could they be with? We'll wait and see. Maybe tactical squads. Because, of course, they'll have to release tactical squads in a way, and assault squads, and, all the other units that are in the core box, they'll have to release them in separate boxes outside of the core box. So maybe tactical Marines will make up a squad with breaches and tactical support squads at the same time, and just bulk Marines in a tiny little box. That would be fantastic. When it comes to transports, we haven't seen the Termite assault drills yet. I don't think they'll be in the Great Slaughter book. We'll wait and see. Moving into fast attack, we don't have any rules or units at the moment for Seeker squads, Saber Strike squadrons, and Dreadclaw drop pods. Now, out of these, I think the one we're most likely to see, if it is Isfahan themed for the Great Slaughter, would be Dreadclaw drop pods. They are so iconically Heresy. However, we've already got the rules for other drop pods in there. Will they include all the drop pod rules together? I think so. That would make sense to me. But I could also see why they wouldn't. They'd want to space them out a little, because they're very similar units doing very similar things, especially at an Imperialis scale, an epic scale. But out of the fast attack choices we don't have, Dreadclaws are my top pick for the Great Slaughter. Moving into heavy sport, other options for the heavy sport squads, just like the tactical sport squads, we won't need new rules for them, I believe, but I think we will see those miniatures coming pretty soon. The other Sakaran options, I'm not sure, like your funky Sakarans, right? So the ones with the big machine guns. Hang on, I'm flicking the book. I can never remember the names. The Venator, the Punisher, and the Omega. There we go. I don't know if we'll see rules for those. I don't think we will in the core rulebook. So they could definitely be coming in the Great Slaughter. That would make a lot of sense, because if they're going to release a Sakaran box outside of the core box, it would make sense to have those other weapon options in there. So they'd want rules for them, and the Great Slaughter would be the way to do it. Other heavy sport options, Vindicators, Scorpius Squadrons, Arquitters. I think they will all come in a box together, and I think their rules will also be in the Great Slaughter. With Isfahan having big tanks that are making things go boom, bunch of artillery, bunch of siege tanks, that would make a lot of sense to me. Saying that, if it's very focused on Isfahan in the things dropping from the sky with your drop pods and whatnot, maybe, and your flyers coming in, maybe we won't see those kind of tanks in that book. We'll have to wait and see. And the last one there being the Charybdis Assault Claw. Now, if we see the Dreadclaw drop pods, I'm pretty sure we'll see the Charybdis. So whether they include all of the drop pods in the Great Slaughter, we'll wait and see. But if the Dreadclaw's in there, the Charybdis is going to be in there. Now, moving on to Lords of War. For the Legion, we haven't seen any yet. So We'll wait and see. Except the Thunderhawk. That doesn't count. Doesn't count, people. So we've got the Thunderhawk. We'll get the rules for that in the core rulebook. But in the Great Slaughter, I'm thinking the Cerberus and the Typhon would be my first picks. I don't think they'll include all of them. I think they'll drag them out a little just for funsies. But I think we'll see the Cerberus and Typhon coming in a kit together, because that would just make a lot of sense. And I think maybe the Spartan kit that we know is coming out has options for the Cerberus and Typhon conversions. Options, weapon options in the box. That would make a lot of sense to me. You'd be so silly not to, Games Workshop. But you know what? Wouldn't be the silliest thing you've ever done. So maybe they're in there, maybe they're not. Maybe we just don't know yet. We don't have rules for them yet. So Great Slaughter, if the Spartan box is dropping, I think these weapon options are going to be in there, which means the rules will be in Great Slaughter. And they're the Glaive and the Fellblade and the Falcon. Falcon? Those will come out later. I think they'll be in a future supplement. I don't think we'll see them immediately in the Great Slaughter. Because Imperialis, it's the perfect game for these tanks, these huge tanks. The Solar, meanwhile, they're getting some Lords of War tanks, so I'd be shocked if we don't get Legion ones pretty soon. Lastly, for Lords of War, the Stormbird and the Mastodon, I don't know if we'll see the Stormbird, because they're kind of relying on the existing Aeronautica line, which of course does not have a Stormbird for it. So I'd be very surprised if we see a plastic Aeronautica-style Stormbird. I don't think we will. I think they just won't do it. But geez, I'd love to be wrong, because just such a good looking miniature, and I'd love a tiny version of it, or not so tiny, as the case may be. And lastly, the Mastodon. I think we'll definitely see the Mastodon. It's a big tank, right? They might come kits of 1, they might come kits of 2. I think we'll see them maybe in the Great Slaughter book, maybe not. More likely not, just because they came so late in the Heresy from a, I guess, design perspective, that they won't so much inculcate it into the lore of Isfahan, unless I'm wrong, and therefore please correct me. So we'll wait and see. So for the Solar, so that's all the Legion. That's all the Legion units, the ones I think we'll see in the Great Slaughter, the ones we won't. Solar has a lot less that they are waiting upon. You've got their transports, the Dracosan, the Aurochs, and then you've got some Malkador variants, essentially, the Valdor Tank Destroyer and the Malkador Infernus. And that's pretty much it from Solar that they're missing at the moment, which is really cool. Once again, if I missed anything, please let me know in the comments. There's a lot flying around, information-wise, and there's a lot to think about. But I think those are the only kind of units, and those are easy wins for Games Workshop. So I think we might see them in the Great Slaughter book if Solar get a peek in at all, and they might not. If it is Isfahan themed, I don't think the Solar will get a look in for that, because, I mean, Solar refers to the solar system, right? But wait and see. I think the Solar will do just fine without those, whereas the Legion really needs some of those other units that we've talked about to start filling out their ranks and giving specific Legions units that they want to be using them. I mean, a Iron Warriors army without Vindicated Scorpiuses or Arquidas doesn't quite feel like an Iron Warriors army, right? Now, when we talk about other things we might see for Imperialis, the question goes immediately to Legion-specific units, characters, and Primarchs. I don't know which way Games Workshop is going to go on this yet. I think everyone's saying the Primarchs have pretty much been confirmed that we're going to see them, so I think we will. I'd be very surprised if we had a game about Horus Heresy where there weren't Primarchs. Legion-specific units, however, they might not. At epic scale, they didn't do it previously, and at epic scale, it's really just a different paint job for a lot of these units. So I don't think they're going to do them. I don't think they'll do rules for them. We'll get some great community rules for them, no doubt. I'm a little tempted to build some community rules for them myself, just because I've never played in that space before, and it's something I'm really interested in. So keep an eye on that. The Great Slaughter, I think, will let us know if there's no Legion-specific units in the Great Slaughter expansion, because if we're talking Isfahan, right? Isfahan, is it Isfahan 5? I always get 3 and 5 mixed up. Isfahan 5, where they cleansed their ranks, and then Isfahan 3, where they trapped the loyalists. Pretty sure that's right. So if we don't see Legion-specific units in the Great Slaughter book, then I don't think we'll ever see them come out with official rules. Now, what about the other factions? Mechanicum, I think, will be the first faction that we see, just because Knights and Titans are so inherent to them, it would make sense for them to come out first. But I think eventually, as expansions come out, we will see Sisters in Silence and Custodes, probably in a what's the word I'm looking for? Give me the planet. Thousand Suns planet. Prospero. Probably in a Prospero burning kind of expansion style. We'd see those units. Imperial Militia and Demons, I think will come out maybe eventually, depending on the success of this game. Almost definitely not planned or designed yet, and they'll wait and see how successful Epic Scale is. It'll be really interesting to see how long it takes GW to complete these lines, both for generic Heresy Legion units and then for the other factions. Could be years as these things slowly drip feed out. Usually these specialist games have a life cycle of about 2 to 3 years with frequent releases, and then it starts to dry up a bit out of then. So I think over 2 to 3 years, we will see the Legions fully come out with their lines. And that brings us to the end of our Heresy chats for today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments which units you want to be revealed next, and which faction you think GW should prioritize. Importantly, make sure to keep rolling those dice and getting hyped for Heresy.